Iga, this was, I think, right as we were, literally right when we were recording last week. Iga announced she was parting ways with Wim Fissette. This is not, as you say, like, she won Wimbledon. She's a defending Wimbledon champion. But I think you're right. If you remove that result, it's a much different composite. To me, it was less about the coaching change than some of the, I don't know if you caught some of the remarks she made. She's a confidence, like a shattering of confidence. I'm not reading this verbatim, but it was all sort of about where she is mentally, which is not a great place. And sort of subconsciously or unconsciously, she said, there were a lot of, I'm inside my head too much as it is. Part of me is thinking, candidly, it's great. She's had a long time psychologist on staff. We support mental health in sports more generally, but it seems to me everything she referenced was about her mental health. And then she fires her. To me, it's like saying you're in really you hire someone for a physio for conditioning, and you keep breaking down. So I'm going to get rid of my racket stringer and my biomechanics expert. It really seems much more mental than coaching. But Iga parts ways with Wim Fissette. As of now, we don't have. I've heard a couple rumors, but we'll see who takes over the bag, as it were. I mean, and you referenced. I don't know if we talk about Anisimova, another coaching change. I don't know. I'm curious where. So I don't know. I don't say where you stand, but sort of it's a very strange relationship in the best of times, which these are not. How does a player know when it's time to hear a new voice? How does a player know when it's a slump you need to ride out? I mean, if you're Anisimova, you say, listen, in the last calendar year, I've been to the finals of 2 majors. How bad could it be? But clearly, she wasn't seeing the results or hearing the messages she wanted to. It's really weird in tennis where it comes down to the player. Not like there's a billionaire owner making the decision. What goes into that, and what is that dynamic like?
It's always different, right? Like the thing that people need to realize with like the coach-player relationship, if you're a quarterback for a football team, like how many times do you think Tom Brady went to dinner with Bill Belichick? Just the two of them and one other person. 3? Like,
Maybe.
I'm serious.
Maybe.
That's Monday through Thursday. Maybe you take a night off.
It's like 18 years together too, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the most interpersonal coaching player relationship in sports. I would think, maybe golf caddy or so, but then again, that's like different from the swing coach. So the responsibilities aren't all on you. I mean, I've had coaches where you're breaking up where it's like, you're my favorite person, but like, I don't know that we totally align on what's going on during the matches. There's ones where it's like you get fatigued because by the time you're at your 220th dinner, like you can't take it anymore. There's the coaches where it's like at a certain point, I don't need a babysitter. So I had a coach, my earliest coach is like, it was almost too emotional every time I lost because he was so passionate about my success, which is like a hard thing, but it also like was this other pressure set because of it. There are so many different things, and I've had coaching relationships, and they've all kind of ended or started for different reasons, right? And it's funny because Iga, even you go back if you want to kind of insight into her head, it's funny because she always seems to kind of, you're like, oh my gosh, you're on top of the world. You just won Wimbledon. She's like, yeah, but it's been tough. I'm like, she'll go back to the place where it's kind of like, I feel like she won Wimbledon, and even still during her interview, it was like, we'll see if I can keep serving that way in Canada. Like all these brains are very different, and greatness presents itself in different ways. I don't think she just lets losses roll off the back and they're like, okay, I'll get the next one, or I'm excited. We'll see how I do in the clay court season. She squeezes and grips. I was probably the same way, but in that interview that we had last summer, I was like, well, Wim Fissette, great, and she's like, yeah, it wasn't easy at first. Yeah, it hasn't been it wasn't the easiest 6 months going into Wimbledon. So I actually I think I said it to you about 3 weeks ago. I was like, if this goes a little sideways, it didn't seem like it was it felt like it was maybe work a little bit. And Wim Fissette's a great coach. He's had, a ton of success with a ton of players. But as much as it is about tennis and X's and O's, it's about personalities and meshing. And it doesn't mean someone's a bad person or you're a bad person. It's just like sometimes you like different music. You don't want to listen to the same music. What you listen to sucks and what I listen to is great. And we both think that, right? Like it's just maybe a bad example, but all that stuff has to kind of flow and work. And with Anisimova, it's interesting. I have reset underlined twice here. It's amazing how quickly expectations reset. She's 9-6 at the beginning of last year. That's a pretty good start to the year. Based on you not being main draw at Wimbledon the year before. And now a couple of slams later, and you want to make that jump into 2, 1, 3, whatever it is. And there's like a lack of consistency when you're comparing to 6 months ago. It all just changes a little bit. You can not want to coach because you don't think they're tactically sound. Not want to coach because you just can't you're frustrated by the conversations that might not have anything to do with tennis. It's just such a complicated relationship. I mean, maybe that's an episode we do with like Coach's Corner, and we have 3 different coaches on and ask them all the same questions and see the different answers or something. I don't know what it is.
I'll give you a quick story real quick about the intensity. I was talking to Brad Stein, Tommy Paul's coach in Australia, and I said, I don't know, how's this where you're in Fresno, he's in Florida, and he goes, oh my God, if we had to see each other, they weren't staying in the same side of town in Australia for a major. And they live on opposite sides of the country. And he said, if we had to sit there and have every meal together and sit out every rain delay and tell the same stories, we'd go crazy. It's like, distance makes the heart grow. He said that the fact that we keep this distance between us, and Tommy has another coach in Florida that he works with, he's like, that's why we've been together for 7 years. If we had to have this intense relationship like other players do, we would have been done after 6 weeks. We should do a special episode because it's a unique relationship. I always think it's strange that we were talking about this with Larry Stefanki too. Like a coach by definition is this authority figure, and yet the player is the one paying the bills. I think we should do more of this. But no, Iga looks for a coach. Amanda Anisimova looks for a coach. I don't know how relevant do you think it is that we have do we have a natural reset between surfaces? Okay, first Q1 out of the way, we're moving to clay, we're crossing an ocean. I wonder if that doesn't accelerate things, but those are two, a good one. You want to spin it the other way. Those are 2 very high profile, high performing players who now have coaching vacancies. They're 2 plum jobs that just came open.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to create your space in the calendar at some point. I'm guessing Iga's not going to give up a lot of clay court weeks, whereas you see Taylor Fritz for the first time isn't going to Monte Carlo, which I think is probably rational. It feels like he doesn't take weeks off, so he's have this lingering knee thing, and it's like chicken or the egg. Are you not playing as well as you'd like because you're not getting the reps in, because your knee hurts a little? So hard reset feels good there. I always was very clear, end of Miami, there needs to be a 3-week gap where I can build my body back up and kind of get ready for, through Wimbledon of things again. I don't think it's in Iga's nature to kind of sit back and not go back to I think she wants to pound her head against the pavement a little bit. We were kind of similar that way.
So what is the process right now? Are they going to start interviewing coaches? Like NFL has an off season. There's a coaching carousel. Baseball has an off season. Like even soccer, right? Or football. Like what does the interview process look like? And it's sometimes maybe, do you look at the available coaches and sometimes you're like, oh, maybe there's somebody better for what I need right now, and you start there? How's that?
I think you have to be pretty self-aware. And also it depends on different points in your career, right? Like when I hired Connors or hired Stefanki, it was only my input, right? And I've been denied. I got turned down from coaches. So that's another thing that kind of fucks you up a little bit. Like I asked Darren Cahill to coach me once, and he said no. I asked Jim Courier to coach me once, and he said no. And you're like, God, fuck it. I mean,
just a flat no. Wait, to say I didn't know it. Say more. How does that conversation?
I don't know that there is much more. I think listen.
So one of these call me anytime. I'm happy to give you input. I just don't want to travel, or you're awful. I don't want to say more.
I don't even know that it was a soft landing. I don't even know that it was
Randy Jackson's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, it's like one of those ones where everyone's like, I can't travel, and then they take another job 2 weeks later.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not with you. They can't travel with you.
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but then that kind of messes you up too. It's like, oh man, Jim was different. He never coached. So he's like, I have no interest in, I can't do it. I don't want to do it, whatever. But that can mess with you too. So I don't know, you can have you make it sound like we're just going to pick our, people, and there might be a laid back coach who's like, I can't handle the intensity every day of Iga. I need to, I don't know. It's a fascinating thing, but yeah, I was dumped once, I got dumped by Connors. I got like, so your ego can take a bruising too. It's not just the coaches getting fired.
So interesting.
Sorry, I didn't want to. Can we just be friends? I mean, to Mike, it's a great question, Mike. I mean, the other thing one thing I've noticed is the agents for certain players can play a significant role. For some agents, they have their favorites that they like to cycle in. So anytime a coach needs a player needs a new coach, oh, I got just the guy for you. And sometimes I don't want to say any, but sometimes that can fail spectacularly. Other times the results can be better. But I think on the women's side, especially, the agents can have a significant voice.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I don't know. It's completely. Iga could say, "Go get me 5 names," or she could say, "I want this name." You know, and then we go from there. And when I was talking to coaches, you'd get into a conversation, you'd ask a couple questions, they'd ask a couple questions. You could go in thinking one thing, and at the end of the conversation, it could go either way. Like, I don't know if this is the person. And then, like, even Larry, like, he was so, like, offensively honest that I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's like, you can't even move. You're like an elephant out there. You got to move. You got you're a little chunky there. You know, I'm like, oh,
but would you have liked that
clarity.
at 19? You know, like, would you?
It would have been. Well, I don't think I could. To JW's point with TP and Brad Stein, at 19, I needed someone there every day. Like, Tariq was there, and he would, like, I lived a mile from him, so I needed someone to, like, set the times for practice. I needed someone to set the schedule. You know, I wasn't like, it wasn't as if, hey, what time are we, you know, let's practice at 10. He's like, you're going to be up, you're going to practice at 8:30. Then I was just following orders at that point. And at a certain point, like, that shifts, right? And then Larry was in San Diego. I didn't need him to babysit me, right? I needed very, very, very specific things, you know, that we were going to work on when I had him for 5 or 6 days, you know, so, but it's timing too, like that, what you're ready for versus what you're, anyways, I hope all of these decisions go well.